Hey everyone. I wanted to take a moment to apologize for the lower visual quality in some of my recent videos. I know visuals matter, and I completely understand how that can affect the overall experience. I'm actively working on improving resolution, scaling, and overall presentation as I continue to grow and learn. If you took the time to watch and felt disappointed by the visuals, that's valid, and I appreciate the honest feedback. My focus has always been on atmosphere and storytelling, and I'm grateful to those who've stuck with my work while I work on improving the visual side. If you enjoy my content and would like to support my artistry directly, I do have a Patreon. Support there goes toward better tools, higher quality visuals, and more consistent releases. And it truly helps me improve what I create. Thank you for your patience, your support, and for being part of this journey. More improvements are coming.
I live in a duplex with one shared front entrance. 2 units, 1 door, 1 doorbell. Mine is the upstairs apartment. The doorbell is old, mechanical, loud enough to feel in your teeth when it rings. At first, it rang normally. Then one night I heard it ring while I was standing right next to the door. I froze, staring at the wood panel, my hand inches from the knob. The bell echoed through the stairwell and then stopped. I opened the door immediately. No one was there. No footsteps. No retreating shape. Just a porch light humming softly and the empty street beyond. I shrugged it off. The next night it happened again. I was walking toward the door to take out the trash when the bell rang. Not before I reached it. Not after. Exactly when I was 1 step away. I opened the door. Nothing. That's when I noticed something subtle but wrong. The bell hadn't rung outside. I hadn't heard it through the door. I'd heard it from inside the house, like it was ringing for me. The 3rd time it happened, I tested it. I stood in the hallway staring at the door, not moving. Minutes passed. Nothing. I took 1 step forward. The doorbell rang. I didn't open the door this time. I stepped back. Silence. I stepped forward again. The bell rang immediately. Perfect timing. No delay. No variation. Like the house knew where I was. That night, I dreamed I was standing in front of the door while someone else stood on the other side. We were both waiting for the other to move. I woke up sweating. The next evening, the old woman was sitting on the stoop. Gray coat. Folded hands. That same patient stillness. "You're hovering," she said, without looking at me. "What?" I asked. "At the edge," she said. "That's where it listens best." I swallowed. "The doorbell," I said. "It rings when I'm already there." She nodded slowly. "Because it doesn't call people," she said. "It confirms them." I didn't like that answer. "Confirms what?" I asked. "That you're ready," she said. "That you've reached the place where leaving and arriving look the same." I wanted to laugh. Instead, my stomach tightened. "What happens if I open the door?" I asked. She finally looked up at me. "Someone answers," she said. That night, I didn't go near the door. I stayed in the living room, deliberately, keeping my distance. No ringing, no sounds. Around midnight, I relaxed. Maybe it only worked when I was thinking about it. I stood up to get water. As I crossed the hallway, the bell rang. Not loud, not sharp, gentle, inviting. I stopped inches from the door. I could hear breathing on the other side. Not heavy, not urgent, just waiting. I backed away slowly. The breathing stopped. The next day, I unplugged the doorbell, pulled the wires, left the button dead. That night it rang anyway. The sound came from inside the wall, muted but unmistakable. I stood in the hallway, heart pounding. I didn't move. The ringing stopped. I went to bed with the hallway light on. At 2:14 a.m., I woke up with the certainty that someone was standing in front of the door, not knocking, not ringing, just standing there. I stayed in bed. The next morning, there were footprints on the porch, facing inward. No prints leading away. That evening, the old woman was gone. The stoop was empty. The bench across the street was empty. The whole block felt quieter, like a held breath. I decided I wouldn't leave the apartment that night. Around 11 p.m., I heard movement in the hallway, soft, measured. Then the bell rang. I hadn't moved. It rang again. I realized then that it wasn't tracking my location anymore. It was tracking my intent. I stood up. The ringing stopped. I walked toward the door. The ringing resumed, louder now. I stopped inches away. Silence. I reached for the knob. The bell rang one final time, long and satisfied. I pulled my hand back. Behind the door, something shifted its weight. Not stepping away, adjusting, learning. I stepped back and sat down on the floor, back against the wall, eyes on the door. I stayed there until sunrise. When morning came, the bell was silent. The porch was empty. But when I finally opened the door to leave, I noticed something carved faintly into the wood just beneath the handle. A shallow groove, like it had been traced many times by a careful finger. It wasn't a word. It was a question mark. And I understand now. The doorbell doesn't ring to summon visitors. It rings to ask me if I'm ready to answer.
I didn't notice it at first because nothing was obviously wrong. That's the part that bothers me now. I moved into the apartment 6 weeks ago. Studio. Second floor. Cheap because the building is old and the landlord doesn't like questions. The kind of place where the walls are thick enough to swallow sound and the lights hum just loudly enough to remind you they were there. Everything worked. Locks, windows, stove, heat. Too well, maybe. The first strange thing happened on a Sunday night. I'd been standing in the kitchen eating leftovers straight from the container, scrolling on my phone. When I finally sat down on the couch, I heard a soft click from somewhere behind me, like a switch being flipped. I froze and listened. Nothing else happened. I told myself it was the refrigerator cycling or pipes settling. Old building logic. I finished eating and went to bed. The next night, it happened again. I stood in the living room reading mail. Sat down. Click. This time it came from the hallway. I got up and walked around, checking doors and switches. Everything looked normal. When I sat back down, nothing happened. I started paying attention after that. It only happened when I sat. Not when I lay down, not when I crouched, not when I leaned. Only when my weight fully settled into a chair or couch like my body had made a decision. The click moved. Some nights it came from the bathroom, other nights from the bedroom. Once, unmistakably from inside the wall behind the couch. I tried ignoring it. Then one night I stood the entire evening. I stayed on my feet until almost midnight, pacing, stretching, deliberately not sitting down. My legs ached, but the apartment stayed quiet. At 11:58 p.m., I gave in. The moment I sat, the click was followed by something new. A soft exhale. Not close enough to be breath on my skin, just close enough to be inside the room. I stood up so fast I nearly knocked over the coffee table. Silence. The next day I saw her. The old woman sat on the bench outside the building, folded hands resting on a cane. She wasn't homeless. She wasn't begging. She just watched the front door like it was a television show she'd already seen before. As I passed her, she spoke. "Don't get comfortable," she said. Her voice wasn't sharp or loud. It was calm, certain. I stopped. "Excuse me?" I asked. She looked at me then, eyes clear and steady. It listens when you settle, she said. Standing keeps you yours. What listens? I asked. She smiled faintly. The apartment, she said. Or what lives in the quiet parts of it. I laughed, because that's what you do when the alternative is believing her. That night I stayed standing again. At midnight I heard something else. Movement. Not footsteps. More like a slow shift of weight, as if the room itself was adjusting. The walls creaked softly, not with age but with intention. I leaned against the counter instead of sitting. The sound stopped. I slept standing up that night, propped awkwardly against the wall like a drunk on a train. My legs shook, but nothing clicked. Nothing breathed. The next evening, I decided to test it. I placed a chair in the middle of the living room, sat down deliberately. Click! This time it came from directly beneath me. The couch cushion warmed unnaturally fast. Not heat from my body. Heat like something else was already there, compressed, waiting. I stood up. The warmth faded instantly. I dragged the couch aside and checked the floor. Nothing. No trapdoor, no vent, just carpet. I didn't sit again for 3 days. By the 4th night, exhaustion won. I lowered myself slowly onto the couch, muscles screaming, eyes open. Click, then another, and another. Like a series of locks engaging throughout the apartment. The lights dimmed slightly, not off, just softer, like the room wanted me relaxed. I stood up. Nothing disengaged. The clicks stayed. The air felt thicker. That's when I realized the truth. It wasn't responding to sitting. It was responding to staying. Standing delayed it. Movement confused it. But once I stayed still long enough, once I rested, the apartment adjusted to me. Tonight, I'm writing this standing at the counter again. The bench outside is empty now. The old woman hasn't been there in days. The apartment has stopped clicking. Instead, it hums. Low. Content. I'm so tired, and I'm starting to understand something terrible. It doesn't want me asleep, it wants me settled. And one night soon, I won't have the strength to stand anymore.
I work nights at a medical office that closes at 6 p.m. My job is simple. Clean, lock up, leave. No patients. No staff. Just empty rooms and fluorescent lights. The first thing you learn about night work is that buildings sound different when they're alone. Pipes knock. Air vents sigh. Rooms settle like they're stretching. None of that bothered me. What bothered me was the lights. Every night when I arrived at 10:30, one light was already on. Same one. Exam room 3. I assumed someone forgot to switch it off. Doctors do that all the time. So I turned it off and got to work. The next night, it was on again. Same room. Same overhead panel. Same soft buzz. I asked my supervisor if anyone came in late. She shook her head. Alarms never tripped, she said. You're the only one there. That's when I started paying attention. The light was never on when I left. I made sure of it. I'd stand in the hallway, look straight at the switch, and flip it down. Dark. Every time. And yet, every night, there it was again. On. Waiting. I joked about it with myself, called it a ghost with bad manners. Until the night I noticed something else. The trash can in exam room 3 was empty. Not just clean. Unused. No gloves. No paper towels. No exam paper strips pulled loose. The room looked untouched. Like it hadn't been used all day. But the light was on. I told myself it was a wiring issue. Bad relay. Old building. I finished my shift and left early. The next night, the light was on again, and the chair had been moved. Just a few inches, angled slightly toward the door. I stopped in the doorway and stared at it. The room felt attentive, like it noticed me noticing it. I didn't go inside. I turned the light off from the hallway and moved on. That night, while mopping the front area, I heard the hum again. Exam room 3. On. I hadn't passed it. I hadn't touched the switch. It was just on again. I stood there for a long moment, heart racing, mop dripping into the bucket. Then I heard a sound, a soft click, like a pen being pressed. From inside the room, I stepped closer. The door was cracked open. "Hello?" I said, feeling ridiculous as soon as the word left my mouth. The click came again. I pushed the door open slowly. The room was empty. Light on. Chair angled. Counter clear. On the exam table, a clipboard sat neatly at the foot. It wasn't there before. I picked it up with shaking hands. The form on it wasn't one we used. No letterhead. No logo. Just a single line at the top. Name. Below it, written carefully in pen, was my name. My stomach dropped. Under that was another line. Time in. It was filled out. 10:32 p.m. That was the exact minute I badge in every night. I backed out of the room and turned the light off. Hard, like I could scare it into staying dark. I locked the door to the office early and sat in my car for a long time before driving home. The next evening, the old woman was waiting on the bench across the street. Grey coat, folded hands, watching the building like it was a stage. "You work late," she said. I stopped. "Do you know what's happening in there?" She nodded slowly. "They keep the lights on for you," she said, "so you don't feel alone." "That's not comforting," I said. She smiled faintly. "It isn't meant to be," she replied. "What are they?" I asked. She tilted her head. "Something that remembers when buildings were fuller," she said. "Something that learned people come back when they're expected." I thought of the clipboard, the timestamp, the chair. "What happens if I stop going?" I asked. Her eyes softened. "Then they'll wonder where you went," she said. "And wondering is how they start looking." I didn't go in the next night. I called in sick. At 10:32 p.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. No message. Just a missed call. The following night, I stayed home again. Another call. Same time. Third night. Another call. Longer this time. Voicemail. I didn't listen. On the fourth night, I went back. The light was on. Every light. The entire office bright like midday. Every exam room door was open. Every chair angled toward the hallway. Clipboards lined the counter. Dozens of them. All with my name. All with different times filled in. Some from nights I'd skipped. Some from hours I'd been asleep. I stood there. Frozen. Heart pounding. From the far end of the hall, a voice spoke. Not loud. Not threatening. Just tired. "You're late," it said. I ran. I don't work there anymore. But every night at 10:32, I pass the building on my way home. Exam room 3 is still lit. And sometimes, when traffic slows, I swear I can see a figure standing just inside the window, holding a clipboard, watching the door, waiting for me to badge in again.
I work late in a shared office suite. Small companies, cheap rent, mostly empty after 7 p.m. I'm usually the last one there. My desk is at the end of the hall, in a glass-walled office with a door that never quite shuts right. I leave it open when I go to the restroom. I don't like closing myself in at night. Last Monday when I came back, my chair was facing the door. I'd left it tucked under the desk. I'm particular about that. I like the room to look the same when I return. I told myself I'd nudged it on the way out. No big deal. The next night, it happened again. I went to refill my water bottle, maybe 2 minutes gone. When I came back, the chair was turned outward, centered, like it was waiting for me to sit. The room felt expectant. That's the only word that fits. I didn't sit. I pushed the chair back under the desk and finished my work standing. The third night, I decided to test it. Before leaving the office, I pulled the chair all the way under the desk and wedged it with my trash can. I even took a photo with my phone. When I returned, the trash can was still wedged. The chair was not. It stood in the middle of the room, facing the door, pulled out farther than before. Close enough that I almost bumped into it. I checked the security cameras. The hallway footage showed nothing. No one entering, no door movement, no shadows crossing the glass. In the office camera, my room was dark and still the entire time. No motion, no chair moving. I laughed because the alternative was panic. The old woman was sitting on the bench outside the building when I left that night. Gray coat, folded hands, watching the glass doors reflect the dark. "Someone's waiting for you," she said without looking up. I stopped. "My office chair keeps moving." She nodded. "They do that when they want you to stay." "Who?" I asked. She finally looked at me. Her eyes were steady, tired. "Places," she said. "After hours." I slept badly that night. The next evening I tried a new approach. I rolled the chair into the hallway and left it there. When I returned from the restroom, the chair was back in my office, facing the door, closer than before. I felt a cold prickle along my arms. I didn't push it back this time. I stepped around it and packed up to leave early. As I reached the door, I heard it. A soft sound behind me. Not footsteps, not rolling wheels. Weight shifting. I turned slowly. The chair had moved, just a little, enough to block the doorway. I stood there, heart pounding, staring at the empty seat. The room felt smaller. The glass walls reflected me over and over, each version slightly delayed. I edged around the chair and left. The next night, I didn't go to the restroom. I didn't leave the office at all. I worked straight through, standing, refusing to sit, refusing to turn my back. The chair stayed where it was. At 11:42 p.m., the lights flickered. Not off, just dimmer. The chair rolled forward an inch. I stepped back. It stopped. I stayed like that for almost an hour, back pressed to the wall, eyes on the chair. My legs ached, my head throbbed. At 12:30, exhaustion won. I leaned against the desk. The chair slid closer, silent, smooth. I straightened up. It stopped. That's when I understood. It wasn't reacting to movement. It was reacting to rest. The old woman was there again when I left at dawn. "You didn't sit," she said. "No," I replied. She nodded approvingly. "Good." "What happens if I do?" I asked. She looked past me at the building. "At night, offices remember how many people used to fill them," she said. "They remember posture, routine, weight in the chair. That doesn't answer my question." She sighed. "If you sit long enough," she said, "the room will finish the rest of your work for you." I didn't go back the next night, or the next. On the fourth night, my keycard buzzed my phone. Unauthorized entry attempt, my office number. I ignored it. The fifth night, another alert. This one included a camera snapshot. My office lights were on. The chair was centered in the room, facing the door. Something was sitting in it. Not visible, but the cushion was compressed. The wheels angled slightly outward, like they were holding weight. I quit the job the next day. But sometimes late at night, I dream of that chair, of sitting down just for a minute, of how good it would feel to rest. And when I wake up, my spine aches like I've been upright for too long, like something is still waiting for me to sit.